Seems I have everything in order. Just trying to get a coffee roast in before it gets too warm out. Camera will die in the heat. So I just got this new coffee roaster. I'm going to go ahead and get it started here. So I'm going to weigh out a pound. I'm doing a mixed roast today because I only had 1 pound of my Sweet Marias. So I need to order some. I canceled my revolving subscription because it was on a wrong bank card. I have a new bank account a long time ago, but I never changed it. So I need to change it over. So I need to do that now because this is my last pound right here. So I ordered this on Amazon. I'm not promoting this. I'm not even promoting Sweet Marias. That's just what I use. But I got this on Amazon. It was still expensive, more expensive than the Sweet Marias. So I'm going to go ahead and just get this thing going here, and we'll talk about everything after I get this loaded up. So this roaster is supposed to handle 2 pounds. So I'm testing it right now because I like to roast 2 pounds. And I'll tell you why I ended up getting this and everything. So I'm going to get this going. I got my coffee beans in. Going to close my door. Got my lighter right here. Turn this up. Let's burn myself. And get this thing rolling. So I don't really know what settings to put this on. So I'm going to try to do what I normally do with my old roaster. Just adjust the flame here so it's not shooting too bad. So this one camera view that I'm using, I have it in the shade because this camera has a tendency to overheat. So I'm kind of watching the screen here to see if it starts overheating because I can feel the heat kind of blowing off of the roaster over there. So this camera view might go out, I don't know. So I got all my tools out here. I have my fan with my colander, my sieve. I'll move it over here. Now I guess I'll keep this out of the way for a second. So when I did my last stream, I was just kind of doing a tutorial. I was just kind of having fun with doing live and stuff like that. I kind of been enjoying doing some live videos, streams lately. So I'm doing this live stream because on my last one, I'm not going to say I melted my roaster, but I was having problems with my propane tank, and I think I was running out. I kept having to turn it up. And on top of that, it was really windy that day. So the flame was blowing all over the place. And there's a couple of plastic parts on that old roaster I used to have. And I think the flame had kind of overheated one of the plastic pieces where it mounted, and the motor kind of bent up, and the roasting basket would not stay on. So I basically deemed it non-usable. I probably could have done some monkey rigging with it and got it to work, but I didn't. I didn't even mess with it. I was ready for a new roaster. That old roaster only handled 1 pound at a time, but it's a great roaster to start with. You can check out my other video on this channel to see what roaster I'm talking about. You can get it on Amazon. They're still there because when I was looking for this, it was still up there. And it's only like $100, $80, something like that. There's a couple different types, but it was a good roaster. It lasted me 2 years. And I roast coffee every weekend in that thing, rain or shine. If it's raining, I will roast in my garage. And when it's not raining, I roast in my backyard here. I do it on Sunday mornings, every Sunday, usually around 9, 8. before it gets too hot outside. And it's just kind of the way I like to start my day on Sundays. So I normally used to do 1 pound, then I started doing 2 batches, and now I'm doing a whole batch here with this roaster of 2 pounds. So let me go over this roaster. There's a couple of sellers on this particular brand here. It's called Jinjan Coffee. It says it right on the front, and that's Jinjan Coffee. Jinjan. Let's see if I can get a picture of it with my camera. There it is, right there. And I'll kind of get a view going right here of it. Well, I was doing this view because I'm going to go over the features on this thing. So you see right here, you can see the coffee beans inside. There's a glass window right here. I can feel the heat radiating from the burner. I feel like I have it too high. I'm going to turn it down a little bit. I have no idea how long this is going to take. It used to take me about 12 to 15 minutes to roast a batch of 1 pound. I have no idea how long this is going to take. And I see that this thermometer is not really working out. It's got a thermometer that goes inside here, but I probably need to wait because it's already overheated. I guess you can't leave it in there. So I'm going to take this out. So it's got a hole in the side here where a thermometer can go in so you can measure the temperature. Coffee roasting is about temperature. I've always kind of done it on sound, smell, that kind of stuff. There's a definite sound you're looking for. I'm going to turn this back up a little bit. So it's got the viewing window. It's got the door where you saw me pour it in, right in the front here. It's really nice. Seems pretty solid. It's got a motor and gear right here. Everything's stainless steel, so there's no plastic parts on this, so that's kind of a good thing. I am a little concerned about the bearings, maybe if they're going to get too hot or something like that. I really don't know what speed to set it on, so I'm going to turn it up to just medium, right in the middle. That's kind of the speed I used to use before. And I'll know when we're about 8 minutes in if we're behind or ahead of schedule. So like I said, it has a variable motor. You can turn it up, speed it down. You can do up to I think it's up to 2.5 pounds of beans in this. And it just sits on top of a gas burner. The only electricity on here is for the motor. So like I said in the past, all my coffee beans I get from Sweet Maria's. Sweet Maria's has an assortment of items on their website, everything you need to get started coffee roasting, a lot of tutorials, and you can start out with a popcorn roaster. That was how I started. It's basically a stovetop popcorn popper, and it works really well. The only thing about it is it is manual, so you have to do it yourself. You have to hand crank it. And I got really tired of doing that really quick. But it was a great way to learn and a great way to start. You'd wear some, gloves that protect your hands from the heat. And on the top of that popcorn popper, there's a couple of little vent slots where you can use a screwdriver and make it a little longer and stick a thermometer probe down into it, like one of the little wired. They have them on Sweet Maria's. There's a name for it, but it's basically a thermometer with a wire probe that can go down into the bottom of the pan, and it will monitor the heat down there at the beans. Coffee roasting generally is getting close to being finished at around 420 to 430 degrees, and that's where everything comes depending upon your taste. I feel like because this is a metal feel here, I'm going to turn the heat up a little bit more and just hope I don't melt this thing. What it is, I feel like it's getting hot. So the burner that I'm using is a basically like a turkey fryer burner, campfire burner. It does have the extra high burner on it where it does more BTU. It's hotter. It's not like your standard regular burner. It's got the red knob on it, and the red knob generally means it's a higher BTU burner, which makes it good for frying and that sort of stuff because it gets really hot and it keeps a nice, good, consistent high heat. Lots of BTUs when you're using it. So I use that just because it was what I had. And right now I'm just kind of listening for the beans to start cracking. Once they start cracking, I know it's going to be getting close to, at least it's going. It's not going to be close to being done, but it's going to be at least at the point where I know we need to start paying a little more attention to it. So in the side here, I'm trying to just monitor what the beans are looking like. Can't really see in my camera view if you can see that or not. So it's in the camera view that's on the left, of course. You can see the beans tumbling around in there. So it was kind of convenient when my burner went out, or my roaster went out, because it was my birthday last week. So I basically asked my family if they would get me this for my birthday. Also with it being close to Father's Day, my birthday and Father's Day kind of fall together. This thing here, I believe, was like $180, so it's about double the cost of what that 1 pound roaster did, but this also does double the amount of beans. So I guess dollar for dollar, it's doing what I wanted to do, because I feel like I've advanced further into that area of coffee roasting. I see it starting to smoke now, so that's a good sign as well. The sun's starting to come over the back of my house here, so the glare off of that stainless steel basket is pretty bright if you stand in the right spot. I could smell the beans starting to give off an aroma. So everything seems to be working so far. I was looking at this machine specifically because, I am a little bit cheap. I don't like spending a lot of money on things I'm not sure about. I'm hoping this thing works out for me in the long run. But, being $180, it is kind of a consumable. If I had to pay for it, if it didn't work, it didn't work. I am ready to move on to a more professional style roaster. I just don't know if I want to dive into that cost yet. I kind of feel like I want to progress up to it. So I think this is just kind of my next stepping stone into getting to that level of, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to listen to see if it's starting to crack or not. It's definitely starting to smoke a little bit more. And I can see that the beans are starting to change colors a little bit. I'm not quite sure how long, once it starts cracking, what the time is going to be for them to finish. But once it starts its first crack, it's going to start moving. Everything's going to start going really fast. And that was the one thing about my other roaster, is it was a lot easier to kind of see and deal with, and because it was smaller and you're doing less, it went pretty quick. I'm just going to have to learn this roaster here to kind of see where I am, but I'm definitely glad I see some smoke coming out of the roaster, which is a good sign that things are going on in there. And I can see the beans are getting a little darker. Need to get my gloves. I forgot to get those. So this roaster did come with some extra bearings in the package, which was nice. Right here. They're just hot gloves, handle the heat. Definitely starting to get that familiar roasting smell. So coffee roasting isn't necessarily a very long process, because this is new to me and I haven't used it before. I'm learning it. I literally just opened it, and site is when I got it. Day I'm going to do it tomorrow, and then I decided to do the live reveal of it and do everything live, so you can kind of see what my process here is that I go through when I'm starting to learn a new roaster or a new machine. This is my third progression. I went from the popper roaster to the first basket roaster I had. The last one I had, I know it's roasting for probably 3 years. We like the fresh coffee taste and flavor that you get out of the roasting at home. It does give you a more flavorful coffee, and it's so fresh. And I don't know if that's the reason why it has such a better flavor. And then, of course, you can roast it to whatever you want. You can roast it light, medium, dark, extra dark, espresso. And you can really go by the look of it to decide where you want it to stop. And you really learn over a couple of roasts. Definitely see the beans changing color. I'm not hearing any cracking. I'm just trying to listen for the cracking. I feel like it is cracking now. So coffee, yeah, it's definitely cracking. Coffee roasting indoors, to me, it doesn't sound like it's not a very good idea with these kinds of roasters, because a lot of smoke, and I don't know if you could see the chaff coming out of the slots in the roaster there, but as the coffee roasts, there's the outer skin of the bean that's going to start coming off. And we actually have a process that we go through called dechafing. That once these are done, we're going to shake them out in my sieve, my colander, and my fan, and blow out the chafe, which is just the outer skin that's going to come off. Yeah, I definitely smell it. And I can see that it's getting closer. Can't really tell how dark it is. And now I'm starting to hear some good cracking. So I'll probably end up getting an analog. There we go. Thermometer to put in here. So yeah, we're getting some good cracking now. I can see it's not quite at a light roast yet, but it's my thermometer shows that it's at like 300 degrees. And I can also see with the 2 pounds of coffee that I have in there, the beans do go up to the level of the hole where the thermometer probe goes in. So I don't have to stick it all the way in like I had it before. And I can actually hold it here and look at it. And now it's reading 370, still climbing. And yeah, we're definitely getting to a light roast. This window is really nice. It actually works better than the basket that was on my old roaster, because the basket on my old roaster, it made it really hard to really tell how dark it was actually getting. Thermometer says 404, 405. So I'm not quite sure where I'm going to stop at here because it's my first roast. I'm really just kind of going to monitor it by eye. It looks like it's got a really nice even roast going. Looks like all the beans are about the same color. Okay, we're at 412, 413. You know, about 420, 425 is a good light roast, getting into medium. And I'm just hoping that all the beans that are in the middle are kind of looking the same as the ones on the outside at this point. About 420 for temperature. You know, I mean, the color I'm seeing, it looks like it's matching up with what the temperatures on a roasting chart would be. I'll see if I can get it to 430, and I think I'm just going to stop it there because that's probably going to be at least a good medium, maybe medium to dark roast. We're at 426. Yeah, I don't think it's getting too dark yet, so that's good. Smoke is starting to get there. 428. So this is generally about the area where I used to kind of monitor it and used to determine that it was getting close because the smokiness was getting a lot thicker and faster. All right, we just hit 430. I'm going to go ahead and call it right here. I'm going to go ahead and turn my burner off. Oops, wrong way. Turn my burner off. And once I turned the burner off, the temperature started slowing down. And this really seems to be about the same area I used to be before. So let me get my, kind of try to work a little faster here. Take my thermometer out. Get my camera over here. This. Get to my door, get my door open. It's a little hard with my glove here. This is going to be a learning curve. How to get my door open? clearly going to have to work on this process. I use two hands here. I'm going to use this. Yeah, definitely a little difficult to get there. All right, got it open. That's forgotten now. Yeah. I like the Amazon coffee beans. Created a lot of chafe here. Sweet and raised beans don't usually do this. Okay, so you're going to see here. I don't know how well you can see into that. See the chafe buildup on the side there. So as I do this, you get a lot of stuff blow out of there. See if I can get my camera more focused on that. Boy, that's a lot of chafe. Never sifted 2 pounds before at once, so well, that's a lot of chafe. So, you know, the roast is really even, really nice. I want it to be cooled down. And that's also part of this process here with the fan. It's cooling the beans down. So we're kind of killing the first one down with the fan. I need to get a bigger comb. Let's see if we can get a view of sunlight here. Really nice, even roast. It's a very nice chocolatey color. Medium, for sure. I like my beans a little bit darker most of the time, but we've been enjoying medium roast lately. How well you can see that. Looks like it's pretty good. Got a really good color to it. Let's try it over here in this camera. Yeah, so it looks a little darker, a little shinier over here instead. It's definitely not that dark. So this camera with the sun on it, I think probably give you a better view of what it actually looks like. I mean, looking through the camera, I can't really tell, but it's definitely a light, very chocolatey, milk chocolatey type of a look. So, well, from the first roast, I'm really satisfied with how it worked. The whole thing with the door, I'm gonna have to figure that out. As long as I have my temperature probe out here, I could probably figure it out. These gloves are very bulky, but you got to wear gloves. That thing is 400 degrees easily. So I feel like I've gotten most of the chafe out. Now the last part of this process that's really important is once you've roasted it, you're not done. You de-chafed it, everything like that. So you need to let it air out for at least 24 hours. It's called decarbing. And I usually am ready to drink it, the next morning. That's why I do it first thing in the morning. It gives it about 24 hours before. And they have special bags for home coffee roasting, and what they have a little hole in them that helps the decarbing process, and I believe it's releasing carbon dioxide. I forget now, it's been so long ago since I learned about this stuff, but I believe it's like releasing carbon dioxide or something. It's degassing, and it's just basically letting the beans breathe, and I believe there's it's releasing, I want to say it's carbon dioxide, but I can't remember, and I'm sorry, I can't remember. I just know that the last part of the process is you need to let it air out for 24 hours. So usually what I do is I just leave it in my colander out on the counter for 24 hours, let it get air. And like I said, there are special containers and bags you can get to put this in, and it will also release the gases. All right. So I will coffee roaster on Amazon. Pull all this chafe out here. And that's what I was telling you. This is the messy part right here, where you have to decarb it, or I'm sorry, dechafe it, remove the chafe. So usually the beans that I get from Sweet Maria, they don't have as much chafe. I don't know if this is that Amazon bean or what, but it definitely had a lot more chafe, it seems, in it than normal. So that's my new roaster, and that's my first roast on it. 2 pounds. First time I've ever done 2 pounds at one time. Very even, very nice and even roast. Home coffee roasting is something easy. You could do it. If I could do it, you could do it, because I can't do anything without screwing it up a bunch of times. I always do everything 3 times before I get it right. So I'm surprised that doing this for the first time on this new roaster went out as well as it did. The whole thing with the door, I will figure that out over time. If that's the only issue I have with this roaster, I'm good with that. Hopefully the motor stands up to the use, because I am going to use it. Thank you for watching. I hope that gives you a little insight into my coffee roaster and my coffee roasting experiences. And I hope that kind of gives you some confidence that you can do it yourself too. I'm not going to say that coffee roasting at home is going to save you money. What I will say is it's going to give you a much better flavor coffee. And if you like espresso and you did a really dark coffee roast on some beans, it is going to be the best espresso you ever had, because it is so much better when you use fresh beans to make espresso or shots, that sort of thing. So if you like doing that, I recommend you doing this. All right, thanks for watching. I'll get another video up for you guys soon. Have a great day.